the biggest thing that we fail to address as people is our own potential. And when I say that, I don't just mean what we're able to do, but how we impression it in our head, how we allow ourselves to exist within our own mind. And typically I go off on a tangent, but this time I actually wrote something. So I'm gonna just share that for the first part of the video. It's titled "The Power of Potential." In life, we are often faced with the realization that who we are is subject to change. But what's more important is a reaction to this realization. There are those who, in fear or in comfort, neglect the power of their change, never realizing that at the tips of their fingers lies a vast unknown, a troublesome relation of the past teachings and the perceived distance of the future. I feel as if the past is something we strictly learn from, not a platform, especially not to base the future on. Otherwise, the past will be a repeat of itself. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Who we are is and should be directed by how we are now. It just takes effort to realize what is currently blocking our progression. The stagnation of the mind, I feel, can be harmed by comfort. The relative tend towards inaction displayed through the lack of change. And when I speak of change, it's not in the sense of physically changing or who you are, but change in the sense of further development. I see often the harms of wasted potential. We all have a spark, inkling of divinity that is expressed in our self-serving, creative, and genuine action. And I say this for influence out of hope that I, like you, can see the potential of our mental harvest and reap the reward of sowing who you are into yourself. So basically, all that to say that we're holding ourselves back a lot more than I think that we choose to address. Like the way in which you choose to traverse the world is very serving to the external and not so much serving to ourselves. And I'm not telling people to be selfish in that sense. I'm telling people to express the greatest degree of themselves. And whether that be like art, passion, some just having a passion, having a way to express yourself, whether that be with your words, your writing, your drawing, your actions, your acting, your humor, your wit, anything like that. Those sort of things are what we should cultivate, you know. I find that a lot of lessons, a lot of things that we're actually able to learn from in that regard are not from specific experiences, but the way at which we express ourselves and how we react to our own expression. That to say, I think it's very important for us to realize how much goes into everything we do, how much goes into our smiles, how much goes into our happiness. And I think a lot of it can be realized in that expression. Because I feel like we as humans, we as people live in a very social place, a very social level. And the more we're social, the more we're immersed in this public setting, the more it's difficult for us to express our inner potentials, our inner self, because we're so fixed on being this character, playing this role out until we realize we're playing it. And I think sometimes when people realize they're playing a role, they either tend towards, depression or they find freedom in it. But regardless, I think it's most important to do those certain things that bring out the closest thing to yourself. Do what makes you feel like you and find your way back to yourself. I feel like in doing that, like in my writing, that's why I did a little excerpt of my writing, because I feel like, you know, some of our innermost expressions can't necessarily be that in that social space. I feel like it has to be intimately individual. Not in the sense that you can't share with others or it can't be have others involved, but saying that the cultivation of your talent or your skill or your passion or your expression should not be something that serves anyone but you. And that's not being selfish. That's I feel like in a way self-love. Self-love in the sense that you know that what you're doing is benefiting you and not necessarily harming others, but is integral to your growth. I feel like a lot of us cultivate our body and our minds, but how much are we doing for our soul and spirit? A lot of us do prayer, a lot of us are committed to our religions. But in all things, having to do religion, there's still a aspect of it that, you have to figure out some of yourself in order to display that faith properly, regardless of what it is. And, I just think that I found so much solace in um that sort of expression. It's sort of like an escape from some of the problems and tribulations of the world and the stuff that life has to offer. Sometimes you want to be immersed in this vast network of people, vast network of individuals tending towards one idea, everyone trying to find out how to feel most whole. And sometimes it isn't through our interaction. Sometimes it's not about being super social to feel whole, to feel connected with people. Sometimes it's about just expression of your own gratitude and appreciation for life in general, so life itself becomes beautiful. Even the ugliest people exude beauty at times. And when I say that, I mean that who we are isn't necessarily dictated by our external appearance or anything like that. It's determined by our internal quality and internal expressions that propagate outward, that percolate. I think it's very, I don't know, I wouldn't call it difficult, I wouldn't call it easy, but it's something that I feel like everyone needs to sort of achieve. And this video is not, I guess it's not like my typical, because I'm sort of pushing people to, I don't know, cultivate their own art, cultivate their own something, or do something to help you cultivate yourself. So I guess it is the same, but in a sense that I'm not really talking about one specific topic. I'm talking about one specific action, and that action is self-expression. And then the last line of the excerpt, I think I said, hold on, let me find it. All right, I said, in the hopes that I, like you, see the potential of our mental harvest and reap the reward of sowing who you are into yourself. And sometimes I feel like that self-expression is sowing your seed into yourself. It's about taking a step back from your mind almost, and being able to realize the way in which you actually work. I feel like some of our inner workings are hidden behind some of our ego and biases that are mostly held up by the society which we choose to live in or have to live in. It's about coming to the realization that, who you are isn't always just the external expression, but also your internal reaction, your internal happenings. And everything is a happening. It's not something that's within connotation. Everything simply is. It simply just is. And I think that's sort of a hard realization to come to. And it's also something hard to process in your mind and actually get solace from. But I think the closest thing that I can get to that is realizing that, most things aren't for us to feel negative about. Not everything needs to inspire negativity within us. And not everything, I guess not everything can be flipped like that, but in all things that can, I think either you choose no choice or you choose a positive choice. It's like Pascal's gamble. If you believe in something, I think Pascal's gamble specifically God, but if you believe in something and it exists, good. If you don't believe in something and it exists, bad. If you don't believe in something and it doesn't exist, nothing happens. So like, it goes to say that it's more beneficial to believe in positive, or to believe in something that's going to be ultimately beneficial to you, rather than not believing in anything at all. And I don't mean that necessarily a super religious way, but in the sense that, you have to put some faith in your own character, in yourself, in your perspective of the world. And I'm realizing recently that, to get in that mode, to get in that sort of flow state, it's not so much uh an external thing. Like I always say, it's an internal thing, but in expression, in actual action, it's kind of more difficult to achieve that kind of thing. But what I found out is you have to actually like choose that mental effort to put yourself in that place, to lift yourself up internally, in terms of like your own vibe, your own energy. Lift up your own energy to the point where it stays like that. And don't let anything knock it down, but hold it firmly inside you. Hold it firmly, but relax at the same time. I don't know how to explain that, but like, try your mental effort, but don't strain your mental in doing it. Focus on what's behind the mental, what's behind the thought. It's not so much a thought thing. I think we focus too much on our thoughts to the point where we think our thoughts govern our entire reality when it's really our spirit and our feeling. It's just our thoughts sometimes influence that, or it influences our thoughts sometimes. It's about realizing which one is tending towards which one has influence over the other, and creating the distinction and dichotomy within your own head to allow separation. Allow separation between yourself and your thought. Because you are not your thought. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called my thought, my thoughts. It's something being produced by you, not something that you are. So, all that to say, we have to realize our own potential and our own avenue for not necessarily success, but our avenue to find out who we are. Because even though, my writing or stuff like that might not, I won't say it might not, it may be like financially rewarding, monetarily valued, regardless of which, it helps me with everything in my life. I feel like those things that help you grow your spirit and your soul are somewhat beyond the capitalistic thoughts of like, oh, I have to get money from this, or I have to do this for money. It's about doing it for yourself, solely for yourself, purely for your expression. And I think without the expectation of it being shared, you can share it. People share their poetry and stuff all the time. I'm not saying you shouldn't do so. I'm saying that the creation of which should be solely, independently intimate. And if you made it this far in the video, I really do hope you enjoyed this one. I think I enjoyed this one probably the most out of anyone I've made so far, just simply out of the fact that I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm really just expressing myself at this point, and I guess it's a fun thing to do. So all in all, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, if you didn't make it this far, still thank you. I appreciate all of y'all. I'm really learning to uh, practice gratitude a little bit better, because I feel like in my experience, like calculated humility is a very real thing. Like I try to be humble as possible, but there also comes a time where you have to address your ups without being arrogant, you know. So I'm finding a fine line between that. But all in all, I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm gonna try to have a great day. I'm gonna continue to have a great day. Keep being y'all. Keep being great. And thank you.